Today's tutorial will be on marking wrap and turn stitches when you have a large number of knit stitches in between. And so what I'm going to be using today is a little math and stitch markers. So let's get started. My pattern calls for knitting 100 stitches before my first wrap and turn. So I know 100 is an even number. I want the least amount of stitch markers I can get away with. So 20 is a good round number, easy to keep track of. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a stitch marker every 20 stitches. So let's get started. So I'm following my pattern. I'll knit my edge stitches, slip my marker, and my pattern says to yarn over and then knit 100. So I know I'm going to put a marker every 20 stitches after my yarn over. So let's get started. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a stitch marker here. Now I don't have to count these 20 stitches again. I'm going to know that there's always 20 stitches for this row in between my edge marker. After my yarn over, there's 20 stitches. Let's start with the next 20. 21, 22, 38, 39, 40. Time for another stitch marker. And continue. 43, 44, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. Time for our next marker. And we'll continue. 61, 62, 79, 80. Time for our next stitch marker. 81, 82, 83, 84, 98, 99, 100. Now here in our pattern, it tells us we're going to wrap the next stitch. So I want to put a stitch marker on to wrap, to mark my wrap stitch. Bring my yarn to the front, slide the stitch over, bring my yarn back around, return that stitch to the left-hand needle, turn my work. Then my pattern tells me to knit all the stitches going back. So I'm going to slide my marker, put my yarn back in the correct position for the knit stitch, and knit all the way back. Now we have all of those markers already in place, but now we don't need them because we didn't put our work down and we didn't need to pick up our place. So when we come to each marker, we're going to drop it because I'm going to need them on the next 2 rows to mark my next set of stitches. So once we get to the marker, we're just going to drop it off and continue knitting. We're going to continue this process all the way back to the beginning of the row so that we can do our next row and start placing our markers for counting assistance again. This way you don't get lost and you don't have to recount. If you say have to put your work down, go let the dog out and come back, you say, oh, well, I've got to count them all over again. No, you don't. You remember you had a yarn over and 20 stitches, so there's 20, 40, 60, and we just started where our 80 marker was, so you know where you're at and you can pick up and continue your count. And that's how I mark my wrap and turn and count large amounts of stitches at the same time.